alarm, stopwatch, sleep monitoring, sleep tracking. I kept finding myself looking down at my wrist expecting to have to charge my phone. Being a loyal Suunto user for sort of 6 to 7 years now, has my Coros experience tempted me to look elsewhere? I've got to honestly say it. Welcome back folks, I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. We are back today with another running kit review, but today it is a running tech review. I wouldn't say we're a massive techie channel, but when Coros reached out to us and asked if we'd like to test and review one of their all singing, all dancing Vertix GPS Adventure Watches, it was too good an opportunity to miss out on, and we had to take them up on it. Now, I've had plenty of GPS watches over the years from all kinds of different brands, from Polar, Garmin and Suunto. I'd say over the last 6 or 7 years, I've become a big Suunto fan and been using lots of their watches, all different models from the original Ambit to the Ambit 2 to the Ambit Vertical. Current watch today is the Suunto 5, which I've been super happy with. Nice and lightweight, not too big a unit. It's got a pretty good battery life on it. It's very comfortable. And I think in the burgundy sort of copper colorway, it looks pretty cool as an everyday watch as well. But I've heard so many great things about the Coros watches. I've got a lot of running friends who've crossed over to the brand and are super happy with their current watches. And they seem to be a brand that just burst onto the running watch scene. There's lots of pro runners with their watches and they've had a massive impact. So we've had the Vertix for about a month now. We've taken it on lots of runs. We've played around with most of the features and we've given it a real thorough testing. But I think the first thing we need to discuss on this review, and it's probably what Coros are best known for, and that is battery life. So the stats on battery life are super impressive when it comes to the Vertix and when it comes to all the Coros watches actually. So normal, regular, daily use as a watch, 45 days, 60 hours in full GPS tracking mode, and then 150 hours in ultra track mode. So I really don't know how they managed to pull that off in such a small watch with such a small battery. I think it's powered by witchcraft. But the other impressive feature is when it comes to battery life, it only takes a couple of hours to get a full charge on the watch. So it charges super quick and then it lasts for ages. And it pretty much, when it comes to battery life of a GPS watch, blows all the other watches out the water. I can definitely vouch for that when it comes to battery life. When the watch turned up, I took it out of its box and the battery gauge was showing 42%. So I thought, right, I'm going to test out this phenomenal battery life, and I didn't charge it, I just left it at 42%. 11 days later and 5 runs later, the watch was still showing 8% battery life. That is pretty impressive when it comes to battery performance. Anyway, let's break this review down a bit, and the first category that we're going to look at is the features that come on the Vertix Adventure Watch. As you can imagine, being a watch that they pitch at the high end of GPS running watches and multi-sport watches at a price point of £540, it comes packed full of features and some really great tech. So let's start with the watch itself. Comes with a titanium cover and bezel, also has scratch resistant sapphire glass on the screen. It looks like quite a big heavy unit, but actually really light on the wrist, weighing in at only 79 grams. And we've also got this really funky, cool, quick release strap, so it makes it really easy if you want to pop the strap off to clean it, or if you want to interchange any different colour straps on the watch. And just before I forget, it also turned up in this crazy little flight box. Not really sure what this is for, and maybe it is a bit of overkill, but still pretty impressive. Being a multi-sport adventure watch, it pretty much has every activity in the watch's supported workouts, from running, trail running, track running, which is a great feature in the watch. I've used the GPS watch on small looped events or track sessions, and sometimes GPS watches really struggle to stay consistent around a small loop. Not the case with the Vertix, with that inbuilt track feature works really well. But you also get triathlon, swimming, open water swimming, snowboarding, and lots more. So pretty much ticks every box for most people. As far as sensors, it comes with an optical pulse oximeter and a barometric altimeter, which has been really accurate, but we'll come on to that a bit later. Also has a gyroscope, a thermometer, and a wrist heart rate monitor, which has performed really well, and if I'm honest, a lot better than my current watch, the Suunto 5. The heart rate monitor on the wrist on this is pretty much useless. It very rarely works. The only way I can get it to work a bit is by flipping the watch under my wrist and doing it up really tight, almost uncomfortably tight to get a reading. So not very good on the Suunto 5. I know, I understand that a heart rate on the wrist is never going to be as accurate as a chest strap, but when it comes to the Vertix, it's been really good and a lot more consistent than any other GPS watch that I've used with that heart rate feature. As well as all that, you get your standard sort of watch features, so timer, alarm, stopwatch, sleep tracking, steps. You can also get notifications coming up on the screen of the watch. You also get a breadcrumb navigation. Unfortunately, no maps on this watch, but what I can say is the breadcrumb navigation feature, very easy to use while out on your run using the side toggle button or the touch screen. So easy to track sort of left and right, up and down, or to zoom in and out of the route when needed. Next up is functionality, and I have to say first, it's been very easy getting used to this new watch and learning how to navigate my way around it. I think a lot of that is because everything seems so well thought through. You know, the features, the functions, how to navigate, really well thought through on the Vertix. It's actually been really refreshing how simplified everything is on this watch, and it's made it a real user-friendly experience. It's actually been so stress-free. I haven't had to look at the instruction manual, I haven't had to Google anything, and I haven't had to watch any YouTube tutorials to figure anything out, and that has to be a first for me when it comes to a GPS running watch. To highlight this fact, like me, I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that have gone out, bought yourself a nice new shiny GPS watch, you've got it home or you've just had it delivered, you get it out of the box, you charge it up, you upload the app onto your phone, and you're all super excited to dive into the watch, have a look at the new functions and features, get it charged up and get it set up to how you want it, and then you go to sync your phone with your watch and it grinds to a halt. And that whole syncing process isn't as straightforward as it should be. I can definitely vouch for this watch. This was not the case with the Vertix. I literally took it out of the box, I uploaded the app onto my phone, which is a really nice looking app, and we'll dive into that a little bit later. And then all you need to do, there is a QR scanning code that appears on the screen of the watch. You get your phone while you're in the app, you scan that code, and you've guessed it, hey presto, the watch and the phone are perfectly synced. I really love it when tech is straightforward and self-explanatory, and this feature is brilliantly simple. I found functionality while out on a run just as straightforward. All you need to do, select the activity using the scroll wheel on the side of the watch, wait for the watch to connect, and then off you go. The watch screen is a really good size, and I found it really easy to see all that data on the screen while I was running along. You can view your daily activity, so things like current air pressure, altitude, heart rate, just by using this scroll wheel on the side of the watch again and scrolling through different screens. The graphs that show up are super colourful, really good fun, but it's very easy to take in all that data that it's showing you. And all them features and functions on the watch are controlled just by 3 buttons on the right hand side. So again, Coros, keeping it super simple and user friendly. You have the back button, the light button, and then you've got this oversized scroll and select wheel in the center of the watch. I've got to say the size of the buttons made it very easy for myself to navigate around the watch. Even on the days where it was cold and I had running gloves on, I had no issues working my way through the data and through the features on the watch using this scroll wheel, even with gloves on. When it comes to changing or customizing the data fields on the watch, again, another really simple and well thought out process via the Coros app, very easy to do. Even though the watch is quite substantial, I was super surprised at how light and how comfortable it feels to wear. It's quite a size, it's got quite a lot of depth to it, but once you've got the watch on your wrist, it does feel super light and you hardly notice that you've got a watch on at all. The strap, the silicone quick release strap, we've got a bit of stretch or a bit of give to it, and I think that really helps with the fit of the watch. I found it very easy to get the fit and the adjustment on this strap on my wrist. I have struggled in the past with some previous watches where I can never get that adjustment quite right. They either feel too tight or too loose. So it's been really nice, really refreshing to have a watch that I haven't had to struggle when it comes to fit. Right, on to the last category, and it is connection and accuracy. Probably two of the most important things when it comes to our GPS watches. The last thing we want when we're starting an activity is to be standing around waiting to connect to GPS. You know that old situation where our watches are struggling, so you stick one arm up into the air trying to get that watch closer to the satellite to speed up connection. I would say on average the watch took under 30 seconds to connect up to GPS and heart rate before I could start my activity. Even when I went and ran somewhere that I hadn't run for a long time, I had very little time waiting before I could run. So the connection has been great, and so has the accuracy of the watch. I've had no issues with losing GPS signal, even when I've been running in built up areas or on woodland trail. And as far as all the data that I've gathered, it's been very consistent when it comes down to distance and elevation. I've had a couple of routes that I've run several times just to test out the accuracy of the Vertix. I've got to say I've been very impressed with the consistency of the data that it's gathered. When it comes down to distance over them routes, it's been pretty much the same every time, and elevation has been even closer with the watch. I'd like to say that I've had the same experience out of my Suunto 5, but like a lot of runners, I've got sort of 4 or 5 routes that I run quite often, and if I'm honest, a little bit too often. But when I'm busy, when I'm in a rush, and I've just got to get out there and done, I'll run them routes, and every time I get back and look at the data, it says something different, and sometimes the elevation will be way out. So it's been really nice running with a watch that is gathering consistent data that I can look at and analyze. As far as syncing my data across after a run over to the app, it has been seamless. In fact, the first time I ran with the watch, I went through my usual sort of Suunto routine. I took off the watch, I laid it down next to the phone, opened up the Coros app ready to sync that run across, and it was already there in all its colourful glory. Like most things with the Vertix, the app was again really well thought through, simple but effective, and it showed me all the data, all the stats and all the splits that I really wanted to see. I must be honest, I'm not a massive fan of the Suunto app that you get on your mobile phone. I actually preferred the Moves Count app that they used before that. When Suunto were updating the app, they made quite a big song and dance about it, and then when it finally materialised, it was a little bit underwhelming. I know this whole review sounds like all I'm doing is having a go at my poor little Suunto 5. I do like this watch, but I think running with the Coros watch has really highlighted maybe some of the flaws in it and some of the things that I'm missing out on when it comes to my GPS watch. As you can probably tell, I've really enjoyed my experience with the Coros VERTIX over the last month or so, but I still feel there is a couple of little things that could be slightly improved. The first being that the watch doesn't have maps or a mapping feature. Now for me, that's no big deal. I don't use maps, I've never used maps. I don't have maps on my current watch. I'm quite happy to use the breadcrumb trail feature if I ever need any navigation. But I totally understand that some runners might find this disappointed, especially if they had the mapping feature on their previous watch. I also think that Coros pitched this watch as an adventure watch, so personally I feel it should have a mapping feature on it. You know, if you're a mountaineer or an off-piste skier, I should imagine the mapping feature is quite high up the list of priorities when it comes to your GPS watch. The other thing that I feel could be slightly improved is how you upload routes onto the watch. It's definitely not the most straightforward and simple procedure, and maybe something that Coros need to look at and simplify in the future. I actually went into Strava and went into their awesome Route Explorer feature. I found a couple of really cool, challenging local 20-mile loops to run. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a way of syncing them onto the watch. Now, that might just be me being stupid, and there is a way of doing it, but I just couldn't work it out. Eventually, I had to call my friend who was running with me, and he synced them onto his Garmin, which he found pretty straightforward. So they're the only two little things I feel could be slightly improved. The overall experience has been super positive, but let's wrap this review up with a quick conclusion. So I've really enjoyed my first experience with the Coros brand, and for a company that's relatively new to the whole GPS watch scene, I really have been impressed and I've found the Vertix to be a really good piece of running tech. I've really loved the simplicity of everything that's involved in this watch, from how simple it was to get started, having that QR code on the screen to scan, to how simple it's been to navigate myself around the watch, and how clear and well thought through the whole Coros app is on your mobile phone. It really has been a breeze living with the Vertix watch. Even though the watch looks quite big and quite chunky, it's actually been really comfortable to wear it as an all-day watch, or when I've been out doing any activity wearing it. I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that it is super lightweight. You've got this really comfortable, well-fitting sort of stretchy silicone strap that I actually forgot I was wearing it most of the time. With the watch having no mapping feature, it really hasn't bothered me. It's not really something I use or need when it comes to my GPS running watch, but I can understand how some people might be put off by this. All the things I use on a daily basis are covered when it comes to the Vertix, so I've had no issues there at all. The only feature that we didn't get to test, unfortunately, was the pulse oximeter on the back of the watch. This feature basically tests your blood oxygen levels 24/7. Obviously, living in Cornwall at sea level, not having any big mountains to run up nearby, I couldn't really get up to high altitude to test how consistent or how accurate that feature is on the watch. I think it is a great feature to have on your watch, especially if you're going overseas and you're running up mountains in high altitude, or if you're a mountaineer. I think that feature could be really handy to have when it comes to your GPS device. I personally feel the cost of the Vertix, when you compare it to the watches that it's up against at £540, is pretty well priced. Don't get me wrong, obviously that's still a lot of money to pay for your GPS multi-sport watch, but it definitely works out a little bit cheaper when you compare it to the equivalent watches within the Garmin and Suunto ranges. Obviously we need to talk about how it's been living with the battery life of the Vertix, and I've got to say it has been incredible. I have no idea how they get such a long battery life out of such a small battery and such a quick charge up time. It really has been nice living with a watch that I don't have to keep worrying about, has it got battery life, do I need to stick it on charge, and it has been really refreshing. I kept looking down at my wrist expecting to have to charge up the watch, and it would say like 70% battery life left. I don't know how they've done it in such a small battery. And then we need to talk about all that battery life, but it only takes under 2 hours to get a full charge on the watch. It really is impressive tech, and no other company has got that kind of performance when it comes to battery life. All impressive stuff, that is for sure, but I suppose the big question, after being a loyal Suunto user for 6 to 7 years now, has my Coros experience tempted me to look elsewhere? And I can honestly say it has. Every part of this experience with this watch has made me look and question my current GPS device. I personally wouldn't spend £540 on a watch, but I'm definitely going to be looking at some of the other watches in their range, maybe the Apex or the Apex Pro, slightly cheaper units, but they still got a lot of the same features as the Vertix, and they still come with that legendary battery life. But that is a wrap on another review at Run4Adventure, guys. Really hope you've enjoyed it and you found it useful. If you did, don't forget, give us a big thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, why not hit that subscribe button and join the Run4Adventure family. We have left links in the description for Coros and for the Vertix if you want to find out any more information about the brand. And feedback, guys, get involved. We always want to hear your feedback. Have you recently switched to Coros? Do you use one of their watches within their range? How are you finding the performance? How are you finding that incredible battery life? Let us know down below. Don't forget, guys, in the last video we uploaded, which was episode 3 in our bucket list race series, we also did Run4Adventure's giveaway extravaganza to celebrate hitting 10,000 subs. We just wanted to say thank you to everybody for the support, and the brands have been so supportive and given us some incredible prizes to give away. So go and watch that video, guys. Watch it till the end. All the details of what you need to do to get entered are at the end of that video or in the description to that video. And get in the mix, guys. It's well worth winning, and it could make your Christmas. Oh yeah, there was one more slight negative when it came to the Coros Vertix that I haven't mentioned, and that is that I've now got to send this watch back. Unfortunately, it was just a loaner. Ben from Coros sent this watch down so we could test and review it. Thanks for that, Ben. But I've got to now get it in the box and send it back, and I've kind of grown attached to it. I think I'm really going to miss it. Do you think they'd notice if I kind of kept it and didn't send it back? What do you think? Okay, I suppose we better send it back, but thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video, and as always, stay safe, and keep on running.